So hello, my name is Jackie. I'm a carnivore keeper here at Tanganyika Wildlife Park, and today I'm going to be answering some questions as a lion keeper. Cool. Hi guys. So behind me, you guys might notice a bit of movement. We do have our little lion cubs are out on exhibit exploring, so that is what is going on behind me during this. So I've always really enjoyed being around animals growing up, so I went to school for it. I have a bachelor's in wildlife and fishery science, and so I did an internship for 2 months at another facility, and then I actually started here at Tanganyika as an intern. And so afterwards of volunteering with the carnivores and with a lot of other keepers as well, I was hired on after the season closed as a keeper on the carnivore team. And so it's been 2 years since then. And so that's given me a lot of opportunities to work with various carnivores like snow leopards, cheetahs, our cloudids, our Bengal tigers, and of course the lions. So out in their native habitat, lions are pretty good generalist carnivores. So they're still going to be eating just meat, but they'll be eating a lot of hooved animals like giraffes, antelope, wildebeest, sometimes possibly like hippos, but they're not too picky that they'll also eat some smaller things like tortoises and various birds that are found throughout there. So we get our ground meat from a company called AAA. They specialize in carnivore diet, so it's going to be a little bit of extra of what they need, as well as less fatty than what we would personally buy for ourselves at the grocery store. And so we will also add some vitamins and calcium to it to make it a more complete diet. And our lions will get whole prey 3 times a week, and that's going to be a variety of either like rodents, rabbits, and then sometimes we'll get deer from our local hunters that have made a donation that they really enjoy eating. So out in their native habitats, depending on the size of their kill and how many mouths they have to feed, so they could potentially not have to hunt and eat anymore for a couple of days. In a human setting, it's not as easy to replicate, but a way that we try to do that natural feeding routine is that we fast them 2 days a week, not back to back. We do space it out, and we also keep a close eye on them and ensure that they are getting a proper amount of food throughout their the week as they're going. Yes, so first off, we have Nemian. He is our male lion. He is really great protector of the pride. He loves his girls being with them a lot more than just keepers, which is awesome. That's what we want. And then he kind of will be a really good hunter from time to time. So what he likes to do is if he hears somebody sometimes coming around the exhibit, he'll hide. And then once the person is close enough, he'll pop out. So he definitely loves to do that from time to time, but that's part of his job. Our next one, we have Valkyrie. She's one of our lionesses here at the park. She is a very calm, laid back type, except for when it comes for food. That girl really, really loves her food. She is our most food motivated lion that we have here. And then we have our newest mama, Ellie. She is doing really, really great. She's definitely more of a dominant than all 3 of the lions because Nemian is kind of at the bottom of it. He listens to his girls really, really well. And then Ellie is more dominant than the other 2. She also really is very observant. She likes to just watch people and just stare at you as you're working around her. She has become more protective lately, and that is because if you guys have been following our social media, we do have lion cubs now that she has given birth to. So they are about 2 months old now. They're our newest additions. Their names are Jean, Louise, and Tina. So the 1 boy and 2 girls. And their personalities are just starting to blossom. So we're still learning on them as they're growing, since they're still fairly young. Our littlest one, Tina, she actually seems to be the bravest at the moment. She was the first one out the door when we showed them the exhibit when they went outside for the first time. And then the other 2, Jean and Louise, definitely like to wrestle a lot and have a lot of energy. So it'll be exciting to see how they grow and how their personalities come to be. Yeah. Oh, hello. Speaking of which, so that is Jean and Louise right there. We have Tina in the back, and then Mama Ellie off to the corner.
You guys are so brave.
They're like, we know this one. Hello. Why are you talking? Oh, what a good mama. Oh, front and center. Oh, there's Tina. Oh, it's so pretty. There's no bath time. There's not time for that.
Too much time to explore.
Yeah. Just let's come back. So when I first started working this routine, a lot of the lion training I really enjoyed. So I am not a particularly tall person. And so one of their behaviors is that they will go all the way, that they will stretch up onto the mesh. And so that really gets us to see their underbelly. And we also get to see how tall they are. And so they are really big cats. So it's pretty cool to me to see a little bit of a size difference of how big they actually are, especially our male lion. And then the little ones are honestly really, really exciting. They're the first litter that we had here at Tanganyika Wildlife Park. Ellie is first time mom, but she's knocking it out of the park, taking really, really good care of them. And then I'm just excited to see how they grow.
Amazing.
So a little bit of a fun fact that might make you look at Lion King a little differently. So male lions actually, when they have the darker fur, that's actually correlated to them having more testosterone in their system. So since they have more testosterone, typically they end up being better fighters and are a little bit more attractive to the lionesses.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I never would have known that.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. Ma'am. It is bath time.
She's so beautiful.
She's a really good girl.
What can people do to help lion conservation?
Yes. So in the last 20 years, unfortunately, the lion populations out in their native habitat has decreased by 50%. So it is a pretty rapid decline. They are listed as vulnerable, but with such a steep and rapid decline, we definitely want to look at different ways to do conservation for the lions. And so one of the ways is just at home, you can go ahead and do some research to see if there's any organizations that might speak to you that you might want to donate to. One of the organizations that we like to support here at the park, it's called Zambian Carnivore Program. And so they actually will go and rescue lions in snare traps, let them go, release them, as well as maintain some of the wildlife habitat. And they'll keep an eye on, they track numbers of populations and stuff like that. So you can make a donation to them, or they also do have a little store where you can buy some merchandise from them as well. And so here at Tanganyika, since we are a breeding facility, we do have our breeding program. So our lion cubs are a big part of that since they're helping the population grow. And so if you guys come out to the park and just see a lot of our other animals, that will really help as well because we are privately owned. So we are not funded by the government. So majority of our funds are going to come from our guests that enter the park. So you guys can come and check out all our other animals. These guys are behind the scenes, so you will have to do our experience, which is called Origins Tour. And so at that point, you guys will get to come and meet Nemian, our male lion, as well as our two Amur leopards, Dima and Mystique, who are also our biggest critically endangered cat. So it's another cool species that you get to learn about. So enrichment can be a variety of things. It can be new sounds, new smells. So sometimes if we play the radio into their if we play the radio in their indoor stalls, the new noise is fun for them. We might spread some like spices around their exhibit or spray some perfume. If we want to give them toys, they just have to be really, really thick and durable since lions are pretty strong. So one of an example of that is like we have a very big boomer ball that they like to knock around. We also have a little bit like a PVC pipe that they like to play with as well. And then from time to time, we like to give them enrichment that they can safely shred. So like cardboard boxes, streamers, brown paper bags. If they do consume it, it's safe to easily pass it. And we make sure that they don't get too much of it at one point. It's more fun when they get it every now and then. And so, as I mentioned earlier, we do training with them as well. And that is a good form of mental enrichment for our animals. It keeps them mentally stimulated as well as they have to focus on what we're asking them to do and try to figure out what that is specifically. So we never go in with our adult lions. If we have to go into their area to clean, we shift them into an empty stall, have them locked in there, and then we can go into their stall nice and safely, do a quick clean, put down their diet, make sure they have lots of water, and then we'll shift them back after everything has been locked up. We also, when we are checking their exhibit, we will be checking the mesh integrity, making sure that there's no holes or gaps that can be concerning so that they're properly contained. But we will also go around and find any like trash that might have blown in as well so that they're not consuming something that they shouldn't. And then for the lions, so typically a pretty good example is going to be Ellie's cubs. So out in the native habitats, the moms are actually going to go away from the pride into a den or a cave to give birth by themselves. And they'll stay with their cubs till they're a couple months old before reintroducing them to the pride. And so we kind of mimicked that a little bit here. So we keep track of when we saw breeding as well as potential gestation, and we look at signs of their development. And so once we knew that she was close, we separated her from our other female and male so she could have her own little privacy. And then after she gave birth, we kept a little bit of space between everybody so she could have her space. And now that our cubs are about 2 months old, we have started allowing Mimi and Valkyrie to have the stall next to her. So there's still mesh right between them. They're not actually with the kids yet, but we can watch them safely interact with each other because they can still see and smell. And we've seen some really positive interactions. So our next steps would be potentially to actually allow them to be introduced.
Perfect. Um, okay, I am gonna have you say if you liked this video, we would love if you would support us by liking and subscribing.
Okay. Alrighty, well, if you like this video, I'm going to ask that you please like and subscribe this video in support of us. And then please check out our next segment coming up, which will be interview with a giraffe keeper.